Sheila ma'am.
Turin, can we start?
Yes, ma'am. Do we have the teaser today, ma'am? The teaser?
Yes, Turin. After the prayer,
Okay.
after the prayer, we'll wait for 2 more minutes.
Okay,
It's
ma'am.
9:58.
Okay,
We'll wait for 2 more minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
After your prayer, we'll have the teaser and then
Teaser
we'll
and
hand
then-
over the session to Dr. Rita.
Rita. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
A warm good morning to all of you here. We are very happy to have you today. The third day of our FDP, UGC Stride. Hope you had fruitful days on the 2 days, and I'm sure you will have an enjoyable as well as enriching sessions today also. I extend a cordial welcome to Dr. Parul Kumar, our resource person for the day. Dr. Parul, warm welcome, ma'am.
Good morning, ma'am. Thank you very much.
Yes, Parul, I'm sure you'll have an enjoyable time here, and I'm sure your expertise will help this elite gathering here, which has gathered here in this FDP webinar. Welcome,
Sure,
Parul.
sure.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we begin today with a prayer, and I hand over the session to Dr. Turin Martina. Turin, over
Yes,
to you.
ma'am. Let us invoke God's blessings through this prayer. God, our Father and Mother, we praise and glorify your name as we gather in your presence today. Lord, you make everything new. Renew our minds and spirit so that we may be strengthened by your grace to fulfill our purpose in life. We surrender all that we think, say, and do into your powerful benevolence. Lord, we entrust the two resource persons of our FDP webinar of the Stride series, namely Dr. Parul Kumar, Professor from Maharaja Agrasen Institute of Management Studies, Guru Gobind Singh, Indraprastha University, New Delhi, and Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh, Professor in Bioinformatics, Alagappa University, Karaikudi. Bless them with your gift of wisdom so that they may share their knowledge and resources which will benefit all those participating in this research endeavor. Bless all our efforts, Lord, so that we may become a source of blessing to all whom we meet in our life. Take charge of us so that we may act according to your holy will and be instruments of love, peace, and joy, reaping fruits of success in all walks of our life. We make this prayer in the victorious name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. Amen.
Thank you, Turin. That was
Thank you, ma'am.
a true blessing to all of us. Can I now hand over the session to Dr. Juliet for the teaser of the webinar? Thank you, Dharmi, for that beautiful teaser. Dharmi is our web administrator and the brain behind all the technical aspects. Thank you, Dr. Juliet, for your ideas and your support. Without wasting much time, I now hand over the session to Dr. Rita Prakash, the moderator of this first session. Over to Dr. Rita.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning to all. I'm happy to welcome you all to the third day of UGC Stride FDB Webinar Series 3, organized by the Center of Research and Publication, Holy Cross College, Trichy. Research is a good blend between innovation and exploration. Mathematics, statistics, economics, and operation research are few important vast field of which quantitative methods act as a key to unlock the variety of tools which in further provides more precise description and solution to the problem. Here we have got Dr. Parul Kumar, a keen researcher, trainer, and educator. At present, she is working in Maharaja Aggression Institute of Management Studies. She has conducted a corporate training session on SPSS, AMOS, eView, data analytic, predictive modeling, finance modeling, regression analysis, and R programming and Tableau. She has been awarded a Best Business Academic of the Year 2017 by All India Commerce Association. She has authored or co-authored 24 research publications in Scopus, ABDC, UGC Care, and referred journals. I welcome you, ma'am, on behalf of the Holy Cross family. Welcome, ma'am. I wholeheartedly welcome our Secretary, Reverend Sister Dr. Niranjana Anthony Swami, and our Principal, Reverend Sister Christina Bridget. I thank them for their continuous support and encouragement. Dear participant, I welcome you all. Here, some instructions which are to be followed by the participants. Participants, kindly mute your audio and turn your video off. Kindly don't interact between the session. Post your questions and comments in the chat box. Don't turn on the audio or the video during question session. And post your questions only in the chat box. Now, Dr. Parul Kumar will take over the session.
Thank you so much, Rita ma'am. And thank you so much for the whole family of the Holy Cross College. I'm really delighted to be the part of your FTP, your workshop today. So let's begin. Let me share the screen. Yes, ma'am. Okay. Let me share my screen.
Juliet.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, shall I begin?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, everyone, the session for today is the quantitative research. Quantitative research is a vast area, and in this session, we would be covering upon, or we would be touching upon the glimpses or the overall idea of what the quantitative research is. So let's start and hop on this journey to understand the quantitative research. It will give you an overall idea, but let's first start. What is a quantitative research? It is a systematic and scientific investigation of data and their relationships. Systematic, scientific, that means it involves some procedures which has been identified, fixed, planned, tested of the data. We have a data. I'll tell you what kind of a data it is. Then their relationships. This will help you to build the relationships, as rightly said by Cohen, Mannion, and Morris in 2004. The goal is prediction. The major goal for the quantitative research is the prediction. And the objective is to develop and to employ the mathematical models, the theories, the hypotheses pertaining to a natural phenomenon. The data collected is numerical in nature, and analysis is done through the various statistical tests which are available. Because as we mentioned earlier, it is systematic and scientific. So it applies the statistical tests, which has already been made, tested. So in other words, it emphasizes the objective measurements, statistical, mathematical, or numerical analysis of the data collected either by way of the questionnaires or by way of the secondary data, which is available in the various databases like database of RBI. We have many other databases, Morgan Stanley databases are there. So there are many databases from which we gather the information. Or by manipulating the pre-existing statistical data, which is the existing data. So primary as well as secondary, both have the quantitative research element involved. In primary, we convert our theories into the numbers by way of the questionnaires, by way of the surveys. And in the secondary data, it is the already established data, pre-existing data, which we already have, like the data of the share market, like the data of the sales you have, like the data of the how many products, what is the advertising expense, what is the salary of the employees, how many days he has come to the job. So a number of things. This is the existing pre-existing data using the computational techniques. So we apply some techniques to them and try to find the inference, try to find the relationships, investigate it and predict. This is the basic, that what is the quantitative research. Now understand the difference between the quantitative and the qualitative. It is very much important to understand the difference. See, quantitative is to understand the magnitude of the occurrence or the association, while qualitative refers to the nature, only the quantity, only the quality. It will tell you what are the qualities of the so-and-so thing. This chart has so-and-so quality. It is more, lively. It has interactive chart. It has more colors. It is well presented. Now, magnitude. Magnitude would be explained by the variables which the chart is explaining. So what is the magnitude? What is the relation in them? Then comes the comparisons and the correlations. This is confirmed, this is investigated by the quantitative, because when you have the data which is represented in terms of the numbers, numeric data, then we will easily make the comparisons and the correlation. And in terms of the qualitative, you understand, you interpret the perspective. For example, right now COVID-19, I want to analyze that how people are taking COVID-19. So I am analyzing their perspective. So there are two ways to analyze it. One is I make a qualitative survey, which will have open-ended questions, or I'll conduct discussions, or I'll conduct the interviews with the selective people, and then I'll try to inference those qualitative output which I get from the interviews, or from the open-ended questions, or from the groupings discussions. So this will help me understand and interpret. What if I make a structured questionnaire which has a full and close-ended questions, a specific multiple choices, in which I'm asking their opinions on a range of strongly agree to strongly disagree, or most of the time to no, none of the time, or satisfactory, no, not at all satisfactory. So in this way, I am converting my qualitative perspective on COVID into the quantitative perspective on COVID. Then comes generalization of results to the population. Quantitative data helps you to generalize your results to the population. However, qualitative is limited to the people you have selected. You can only project your findings to that data, to that set of people only, because that is their opinion. So if I have taken the opinion of 100 people, I can generalize to that 100 people, but not more than that, not to the whole population. Quantitative, to a greater extent, it is generalized to the population because it is validated by the specific statistical tests, scientific applications. Statistical summary. Quantitative data produces the statistical summary. Fine. And the qualitative data will produce the detailed theoretical summaries. It will give you the explanation with respect to the theories, how these theories are actually applicable in the real life. And does this theory hold in a specific situation? When I asked a person opinion about how vulnerable they feel with respect to contracting the COVID-19 virus. So I am testing the theories. Now, when you have to test the theories, then testing becomes the hypothesis. Then hypothesis will leave you to collect the data. Then data is there, it is numeric. Then it is numeric, we turn to qualitative changes to quantitative. Thus, quantitative defines, qualitative describes. It is specifically when it's a large data, quantitative, it's a smaller data, we go for the qualitative. Reliability and validity can be easily established in the quantitative data with help of various statistical methods available. However, in terms of the qualitative data, there has to be some reliable procedures, sources. You have some, reliable sources from which you have gathered that information. You have to build the trust in the findings to make it reliable, because it doesn't have any empirical proof. It doesn't have any, numeric proof. So it has to be trusted upon. Then this is known as deductive, while qualitative is known as inductive. I explain you what is deductive. See, quantitative research starts with the theory to examine. We first examine the theory, we analyze it and try to make a prediction out of it. This prediction is actually the hypothesis, which I am predicting that this is affecting this is impacting this. If this happens, then this happens. So I am making one prediction on the basis of the theory. Now, if I made a prediction, how can I prove it? I have to test it. That is, methodology and research study is defined in advance in the quantitative research. Before starting the research, we first define it, because that is very much a key thing in the quantitative data. That is why it is known as deductive. We are deducting, we are finalizing, we are starting from the broader area, theory building, then we are shortlisting it to our main basic area, we are analyzing it, we are putting a prediction on the basis of that, we are further deducting the prediction to formalize a specific hypothesis, and then hypothesis crunched into the set of variables which we gather the data for. Hence, the question asked by the qualitative is who, what, how, why, when. However, the quantitative asks the most important question: how much? How much that thing matters to you? How much is the difference with that? For example, how many online classes a person has attended? That is a simple and calculating our percentages. Now, if I go for the qualitative, how do college students celebrate the Valentine's Day? Thus, there is no hypothesis in this. It is simply exploratory. No prediction is involved. It is simply I'm analyzing how the college students are celebrating a specific day. Somebody would be celebrating in this way, somebody would be celebrating in this way. So I'll summarize those findings and I'll write in my explanations. However, when it comes to quantitative, then we will ask how many percentage of students have completed the MOOCs and how many out of them find the employment after it. So I'm adding a many, I'm adding how. So I'm giving a number, I'm giving a percentage, I'm giving a proportion. Then it is quantitative data. So if I summarize this, so quantitative is examining the relationship between the variables. What are the variables? They can be three types, majorly three types. There are others also, sub-bifurcations, but broadly we define it in three terms. Otherwise, there are intervening variables also, moderating also. We have, different kind of variables. So majorly we bifurcate into these three: independent, dependent, control, extraneous. Independent is a variable which is impacting someone, which is not getting impacted by something. It is impacting, it is creating an impact, an effect. Dependent, which is getting affected. You are dependent on someone. So you are getting affected by the feelings of the someone. So you are a dependent. Then comes the control variables, which we actually put it as the categorical variables or dichotomous variables: gender, age, income, it can be occupation, okay, area of residence, city of residence. So there can be salaries there. how many days of work you do. So these are the profiling items. The control items are the profiling items, which profile our research, which profile our data. I hope this much is clear. The quantitative method can be used to assess the questions that are not directly numerically oriented by converting those responses to the numerals. I repeat again, quantitative methods can also be used to access the questions that are not directly numerically oriented by converting those responses to the numerals, which happens when we conduct the survey method, which is the most common method in the social sciences for collecting the data for the quantitative analysis. For example, again, I'm taking an example of COVID. We want to measure the impact of COVID induced behaviors on the mental health of the people. I want to understand how this pandemic is affecting the mental health of the general population. Or what is the impact of the overnight shift to the online classes? All of us have, more of us are the teachers. So we have overnightly shifted to the online classes during this pandemic. So how this has impacted the performance of the student maybe, or their interest, or the class attendance, how it is affected. So these questions are asked by way of the surveys, by way of the questionnaires, and we convert them to the numeric data. Next comes when to use it. It is a very important question because many a time we fail to understand actually when to use it. So I give you three basic things when to apply. There are other things also, but these three basic things usually, summarizes everything. When there is a numerical data, obviously when you have a number, you apply the quantitative research. You can apply the quantitative research. When you want to test a hypothesis, there is an assumption, there is a prediction which you are making, then you require quantitative analysis. When the data is large, you want to apply, you want to generalize to the population, not to a smaller group of people, you want to generalize your results, then you should go for the quantitative data analysis. Thus, numerical data, hypothesis, and the large samples. But it is very much important that researchers should be very much careful, specifically about maintaining the objectivity of the research when the quantitative analysis are concerned. Because in quantitative analysis, if the agenda, if the research hypothesis is made wrong, then the results would definitely lead you to the wrong conclusions. So it will make your research go haywire. So that is very much important to define these things very carefully, very meticulously. Next important question is, what are the types of quantitative research? There are broadly four types of quantitative research: descriptive researches, correlation researches, cost comparative, or also known as quasi-experimental researches. These are the four types of researches. Let's try and understand them one by one. So descriptive research, as the name suggests, describe or quantify the identified variable. It involves the questions such as how much, or what percentage, or how often. However, it does not prove, or I say do not prove, the relationships or causality between the variables. It only describes. Then comes the correlational analysis. In this, the extent to which two or more variables are related to each other is measured. It helps you in exploring the patterns, the trends. However, it does not prove the relationship or the causality. See, causality is the cause and effect relationship. Relationship between an intelligence and the self-esteem. Relationship between smoking and lung cancer. I can find out the relationship that smoking and lung cancer are related. There is a correlation. But to understand the cause and the effect, does smoking affect lung cancer, or lung cancer can be by the smoking? Smoking leads to lung cancer. So I am making one towards one direction, towards the cause and effect. Cause is the smoking, effect is the lung cancer. So descriptive and correlational will not be explaining you the cause and effect relationship. However, the cause comparative or quasi researches and the experimental researches will give you the cause and effect relationships. So, cause comparative is aims to establish the causal relationship between two variables. It does not involve randomized assignment of the subjects in the sample to control and experimental groups. Now, please understand this does not involve randomized means whenever you collect the data. So sometimes we directly put it in a treatment group and in a control group. For example, I am testing the impact of the COVID vaccine. So I have selected few people on whom I would be testing the COVID vaccine, and there would be the other people who would not be given the COVID vaccine. So these are the people I have selected. If you have selected on your own, then it is a random. However, if on the basis of the data you have collected, you group them together, then it is not at all a randomly assigned group. Rather, it is taken natural as it is coming from your data. For example, you have not fixed the age group, or you have not fixed the, let's suppose, the people who are coming from a specific area. So if age group is not fixed, so people would be writing 20 years, people would be giving you the answers in 25 years, 30 years, 40 years. You have not given them a fixed bracket, like whether you lie in the age group of 20 to 30 years, whether you lie in the age bracket of 50 to 60 years, your age is greater than 65 years. No, you have not given this fixed bifurcation. So now what you will do is you have the data of 100 respondents. They have their respective ages. Somebody is 25, somebody is 18, somebody is 60. Now you bifurcate them on your basis. So they are coming, whichever has the highest number of people, they will be combined together, which has the lowest number, they will be combined together. So they are not randomly. They are coming as they are given in your data. That is very much important difference between the cause comparative and the experimental research. For example, the effect of taking the multivitamins on the health of the woman. So many people are taking the multivitamins. So you have constructed a questionnaire. So in that you have asked a question whether you are taking a medicine or whether you are not taking a multivitamin. Then you grouped it. So whichever data, it's quite a possibility that in your data, the women who are taking the multivitamin are 30, and who are not taking the multivitamin are 70 out of 100. So they have grouped themselves on the basis of the data you have collected. You have not done it deliberately. What would be deliberately? 1 month before, you have given the multivitamins to the 10 households in your vicinity. You told them that please try these multivitamins, and after 10 days we'll come and ask your, what is your experience with the multivitamin, what changes you have observed. 10 households have that multivitamin. You went back to those 10 households, you collected the data. Now you went to another 10 households who have not taken the multivitamin. You have not given the multivitamin to another 10 houses. So you take the data from those 10 houses also. That is a controlled one. First set of 10 households have been given the multivitamin to try on. Another set of 10 households have not been given the medicine to try on. But at the end, I'm comparing these two set of households and finalizing my results. So this is the experimental research, which is using the scientific data. It has the control and the treatment group. Here, the participants are randomly assigned, which is very much important. And it has the advantage of proving the causality to the extent that the other research designs cannot. Social scientists are increasingly using this study to study the causal relationships. So it is the experimental and the cause comparative which help you build the causal relationship. The experimental has the edge over the cause because in that the groups are randomly assigned. So this is about the types of the quantitative research. Moving forward You understood what are the types. Now understand how to move forward with the quantitative research. It is very much important. Is there a treatment? There are two things, yes or no. If there is a treatment, yes, then is the treatment tightly controlled? Tightly controlled means these are the specific 10 households who have been given, 10 households have not been given, tightly controlled. If it is not tightly controlled, then go for cause comparative design because you are not selecting it randomly. If it is tightly controlled, then you have randomly assigned it. It's an experimental design. Now come back to the diagram. Here it is. If there is a treatment, no, there is no treatment. Now what is my primary purpose? My primary purpose is to examine the relationship. No, my primary purpose is not to examine the relationship. Then it goes for descriptive. I only want a description about my population or my sample. But if your primary purpose is examining the relationship, that means yes, then you will go for the relational analysis, which is the correlation process. Make the observations about the unknown explained variables. Hypothesis, make a prediction to explain those observations. Then formulate a plan to test your prediction. You should plan before conducting, before collecting. You should plan how to do it. And collect and process the data. Collect the data, process the data, remove any specific outliers, remove any uninterested people who have filled your questionnaire, like 55555, 11111. So remove those kind of irregularities in the data. Verify the findings, draw the conclusions, and relate it with the literature, which is very much important. When you verify the findings, you're testing the validity and the reliability of your results. There are many methods available. Because only after that you can draw the conclusions. So when the conclusions are drawn, relate them with the existing literature. How your results relate with the existing literature, whether they confirm with existing studies or whether they differ with the studies. Thus, the advantages of the quantitative research are it gives you the defined results, clear results, it can be generalized to the population to the larger degree, thus helps for the policymakers and the institutions. It helps you in the hypothesis testing, your predictions testings. It can be replicated. It applies the statistical test, various statistical tests depending upon the type of data, type of the sample is there. And it is less time consuming in terms of conducting the analysis because there are many softwares which are available in which you punch in the data and you get the results, and reliability and validity can be assured. However, there are a few limitations also. If there is an advantage, there is a limitation attached to a certain thing. What is the limitation? The limitation is non-contextual insight. See, as the focus is only on the numerical, so sometimes we forgot to link it with our theories, with our specific theories, thus overlooking the broader perspective and the relationship between a specific variable. Sometimes you do not have a control over the environment. For example, if I talk about the data of the financial markets, so I have a stock market data, I have a GDP, I have inflation, I have foreign investment. In that case, it is not in my hands to control that kind of a data. I cannot control it. Fine. It is time consuming. When you conduct a survey, you go for the questionnaires, you go for the structured questionnaires, then it is more difficult to collect the data. It is time consuming, expensive also, and takes a lot of time to collate it together and then move forward. Then comes the research model, which I have told you earlier also, that building a research model is very, very much key in the quantitative analysis. You have to be very careful in developing the hypothesis, setting the model, collecting and analyzing the data. And the important thing, which is attached to a statistics, a limitation of a statistics, which is it can be misleading and it is subjective to the interpretation of the person who is interpreting it. So I am a user, so I can interpret things in a different way. So it can be subjective and misleading, and opinions can occur even early in this process. This is all about the basics of your quantitative research. Now moving to the last section of my PPT, that is how to select the statistical test for your quantitative research. See, I would only be giving you the glimpse. I would not be able to explain you all the statistical tests because of the paucity of the time as well as the scope of the workshop. So I'll give you the brief overview because these statistical tests are so many. Somebody says go for t-test, somebody says go for chi-square test, some says go for structure equation modeling. Oh my god, which test to use? See, this boy is like this only, too boggled up. Which test to use? Let me make your life little bit simple. Define your objective in these three ways. You will be able to understand which test to apply. Simple. Data. What kind of a data you have? It's a nominal data or an interval ratio data. How many samples you are taking? One sample, two sample, or more than two samples? Then what is the purpose of conducting this research? Are you doing a comparison or you are finding the relationship? Thus, let me take you to these three one by one and try to make you understand what all these mean. So first, let's start with data. So data is nominal and interval. Ordinal compares depending upon in both of them. Ordinal can change in nominal and interval basis of the objective. Now, what is exactly the nominal is? Nominal is color of these walls. It's a simple number. Nominal is a number. It is a non-parametric thing. It is a categorical variable. It's a number which is assigned. For example, whether parts are defective or not, or which is your preferred type of chocolate. Is it dairy milk? Is it 5-star? Mine is 5-star. So what are the nominal characteristics? Simply putting a number to a specific thing. That number cannot be statistically tested unless and until we go for the other kind of the non-parametric test. Then comes interval or ratio data. Interval or ratio data is also known as the continuous data. Continuous data is when we have the data which is flowing in a sequence way or a continuation way, not taking discrete values. For example, if I talk about, let's suppose, weight, height. So weight of the person can be, it is 55.5 kgs. It is, 60.23 kgs. So it is going in a continuous way. You cannot say it will only take the discrete values, 55, 60, 65. No discrete values. These discrete values are nominal. But when you go for the continuous one, intervals one, then it comes to 0.25, 0.35. You can take any value, any value. So that is the interval one. Now, if your data is nominal, then it is qualitative, categorical, non-parametric. These three tests can be applied to your data. Test of proportions, I'll explain you with the examples. Test of proportions, difference of proportions, chi-test of independence, chi-square test of independence. So if your data is nominal, then you can apply these three tests. So if I again give you an example, it is again, let's suppose you are taking the nominal summaries, which are usually taken as frequencies, proportions, percentage. Then you go for testing with these methodologies. If your data is in the interval form, it's a quantitative data, continuous data, then daily sales figure of chocolate. I'm giving you the examples of your interval data. Daily sales figure of the chocolate, weight of the peanuts, or the temperature. The most common summary which is used for the interval data is the mean. For example, the mean age is 38 years. The mean amount spent on the vegetables is approximately rupees 1000. That's the continuous one. In that case, we can apply test of the mean. Difference between the two independent means or paired related one. Or we go for the next one, which is the relational, the regression one also. Now, next comes is once you decided that what is your data is all about, you can apply these things. Now you have to ask one more question. What about my sample? Is it only one sample? Or I have two samples? Or I have a one sample with two measures. One sample. You have a basket of apples. So what will you say? I have a basket of samples. Then how many, this is there a one, I would go for testing the relevant statistics, which is the mean weight of the, let's suppose 250 grams of apples. What is the mean weight? I'm going to test it. It is only one sample. It should be tested against a hypothesized value. For example, we say on an average, a weight in one basket is approximately, let's suppose it is 10 kgs. Let's suppose it is 2 kgs. So I want to test with respect to this hypothesized mean value that what is the respective change when I'm taking a one basket. So what is the probability with that? Now let's suppose you have two baskets of apple. One basket and two baskets. Like there are two credit cards which are mentioned in paper, which are mentioned in your PPTs. You have two types of credit cards. So I have two samples. Then it is compared to each other. Then two baskets of apples are compared to each other. Two cards are compared to each other. What I'm going to find out from them? Are they different? Are the apples in the two baskets are different? Are the featured in the two credit cards are different? Or they are not different? You know, which basket is more heavier? This basket or this basket? In this way, two samples. Now the next one sample with two measures. Now what it means? It is the one sample, but each observation has a measure or a score for more than one variable. For example, you have a person, you have taken a data, in that data, you have the people. With respect to the people, there are different characteristics to that. What could be the characteristics? Their religion, their height, their occupation, their salary. So sample is one, however, the measures are different. Fine. So in this way, if you are conducting, you have only one sample, then you go for the test of proportions or the test of mean. If you have two samples, then you're finding a difference between those two samples, which can either be the proportions or the independent means. And if you have a one sample with two measures, then you would be going for chi-square test, regression analysis, and the difference of the paired means. Two things you have understood. First was the data, this was the sample. Now moving towards the last one, which we would say the purpose. Purpose. Purpose has three things. Or before explaining you the purpose, let me give you another example to make these things more clear to you. Let's suppose if you wish to compare a proportion or a mean against a given value, then again it is one sample. If you are comparing two different lots of people, for example, male and female, male, woman, or people from different department, commerce department, science department, then there would be two samples. However, if we have two sets of information on the same sample, like you have a date, or with respect to every day, you have measured the rainfall, which has happened on specific day, and what was the moisture on that day. So I have one sample which comprises of these three variables. However, one sample is measured by way of two things. One is the amount of rainfall received on a specific day, and the second is the level of the moisture in the air. Thus, in that case, it is one sample with two measures. If I give you a finance example also for this, it is you have the data for the stock market, daily stock market returns. Along with that, you can have one set of information, which is what is the number of trades, what is the capitalization on a specific day. So it is one sample defined by three characteristics: the returns, the foreign investments, the market capitalization, the number of trades. In that case, you go for the relational analysis, which is usually the difference between the paired ones, regression, majorly regression analysis, or the chi-square family of test. Now proceed towards the final one, which is the purpose. So the purpose is we are testing against a hypothesized value or comparing against two statistics, or we are looking for the relationships. Fine. So in this respective, if you are testing a value, then you go for test for proportion, test for mean, difference of paired mean, difference of the proportions. Likewise, if you're looking for a relationship, chi-square test of analysis and regression analysis. Now, there would be a question from all of you that how to decide that I have to see data also, I have to see sample also, I have to see purpose also before deciding on which method to choose. So please listen to me very carefully. I'm going to tell you an example. So try to evaluate yourself before listening to my answer. Let's suppose there are let's suppose I want to measure the quantity of nuts which are sufficient in my nutties chocolate. What is the quantities of nuts should be sufficient in the nutties chocolate? Or I portray it a different way, whether the quantities of nuts, it's dry fruits, sufficient in the chocolate. Then what will I take? I take a sample of 20 chocolates and found that the weights of nuts in each chocolate. I took a sample of 20 chocolates. I checked the weight of the nuts in those 20 chocolates. Now, let me define it with respect to data, with respect to sample and purpose. Now understand, what is the type of data? You are measuring the weight. Weight is continuous. That means it's an interval data. Fine. So, what is the sample? Sample is only one sample which comprises of 20 chocolates. One sample comprises of 20 chocolates. Then comes the purpose. So my purpose is I want to compare it against a specific value. Why specific value? Because the makers of the chocolate have given that the mean weight of the nuts in the chocolate is 70 grams. So I will be comparing my mean weights of 20 chocolates with respect to the one specific hypothesized value, compared value, which is 70 grams. Thus, what I am doing? I am doing testing for the mean. I hope you understood. Let me take you to another example. Understand another example. Let's suppose there is in a promotional campaign, 30% of all the packs of chips packets should include the tickets for the free prizes. Right? I repeat again. In a promotional campaign, 30% of all the packet of chips should include tickets for free prizes. Now I want to see this. I took a sample of 50 packets and find that 7 of them has the winning tickets. I took the sample of 50 packets and found that 7 of them has winning tickets. Now what is the data in this? The data is for each chip packet, we are saying either it has a winning ticket or not. So the data is dichotomous, yes or no. Whether this packet has a ticket, yes. Whether this packet doesn't have a ticket, no. Now, what it is known as a nominal data because it can only take a value of yes and no. So it's a nominal data. Now, what is the sample? Sample is again one of 50 packets. What is the purpose? The purpose is comparing the sample value against a value, hypothesized value. Remember, in the beginning I said the promotional campaign, 30% of the packets of chips should include the winning ticket. So I'm going to test it. I'm going to compare my results with respect to that 50%. That means it is test for the proportions. I hope you understood then how to select these. There are many examples for this. So this is the overview which we discussed on the basis of 3 The last thing which I want to explain to you is there is another way to bifurcate again these tests. It will take another minute to tell you an idea. That is on the basis of a research question. What is your research question is whether you want to predict a relationship, or you only want a discrimination. If you want to predict, there has to be two types of data, which is a nominal or a continuous data. If it's a nominal data, we go for the chi-square analysis, log linear analysis, logic analysis. If it's continuous data, then it can be further bifurcated into three segments: the simple relationship, the latent variables when we have a dependent conditions are there, or hidden structures are there. So if it's a simple relationship, you only have to find out the correlation, multiple regression, canonical correlation. If there is a latent variable involved, then it can be EFA, which is exploratory factor analysis, correspondence analysis. If you select the EFA, then it further goes to higher level, which is modeling. In the modeling, we check the results, we confirm it with the help of confirmatory factor analysis. Then we do the path analysis with the help of the structure equation modeling. Then comes the hidden structures. You want to understand the clusterness of your population, your sample. That is hidden structures, but are the hidden patterns. Then you go for cluster analysis or multidimensional scaling. Now, if your purpose is to find out the discrimination, the differentiation, then it can be further subdivided into two: predicting or differences. In terms of predicting, we go for discriminant analysis, logistic regression. In terms of differences, we go for univariate or multivariate. If it's a univariate, t-test, ANOVA, ANCOVA. If there are multiple variables, then it is MANOVA and MANCOVA. So the key takeaways finally is, its the main purpose is quantification, then to examine the relationship among the variables to determine the cause and effect, allow for the generalization, measurements of incidence of various opinions and the views which are expressed in the questionnaire. Qualitative is playing with the numbers, bring numbers and try to play with the numbers. Thank you very much. This is all about. I'm open to questions now.
Thank you, ma'am. Most of the participants are posted that your presentation is nice, informative, and content-oriented. Thank you, ma'am, for explaining how to convert the data from qualitative to quantitative and how to model from the predicted data and the impact of COVID-19 in healthcare system and education system, and also the case study hypothesis of COVID-19 vaccine using experimental studies. Thank you, ma'am. Now let us move on to the question
Thank
session.
you so much, ma'am.
That is, no question is posted from the participants. I am asking you some general question, ma'am.
Okay, so that means no question is posted. That means either they didn't understood or they understood fully well.
Yeah, it is very informative and you explained clearly. Most of them are said their comment like this. So no question is available. I think your presentation is more clear and informative. Now I would like to ask only two questions, ma'am. How to handle the imprecise data?
How to handle the
imprecise data?
Imprecise data. Can you please clarify on what kind of impreciseness you are talking about?
That is, the data is not clear. That is in terms of some linguistic variable. For that situation, how to handle this data?
See, when you have the data is, I specifically told you one thing, that the data has to be quantitative for the quantitative research. If you have the quantitative data, so first you have to vet the data. Vet the data means you have to understand whether that specific data is able to justify your objective or not. And let's suppose there are many things for which the data is not available. In that case, you have to build the data. How you build the data? Then comes the use of the surveys. We go for building a survey, we develop our scale, we develop our model, and then we go for putting and getting that data. It is very much important. When you do not have a data available, then you have to construct it or get it by way of the survey and then get it. Because secondary data is available. If you are going for the primary data which is not available or not created, it is not at all available, not at all precise, not clear information, then develop your own, get it vetted from the academicians, from the industry experts, which is also known as the skill development.
Yes, ma'am. Just now I got one question from the participant. How to choose a sample size when the population is unknown? How to choose sample size when population is unknown?
See, it happens to many of the researchers when the population is unknown. We are unable to see what is the sample size actually. See, it is very much important. There are many tools now available which will help you to decide it, because we say there is no sample size which can justify. If I talk about the statistics say the sample size of 30 is considered normal in a statistical term. But however, when we apply to the methodology, 30 is not popular. So if I give you a simple solution for sample sizes, there is one software which is G Power. You punch in, you download the G Power. It's a free software. In that, you have to tell that how many numbers of predictor variables you have. That is the independent variables which you have. And what is the effect size you require? What is the effect size? And what is the level of significance? 5%, 10%. You want your results. On that basis, it will give you a number which is statistically calculated. That is the minimum number which is provided, that this much number of samples, very much important to have in your data. It is very much important. So once you have that number, it is advisable to have at least 3 times that number to get a reliable and generalized results.
Next question, ma'am. Which test can be done on data collected to Likert scale?
Data collected to Likert scale. See, data collected to Likert scale is the interval or ratio data. Fine. Either you do one thing, on the basis of the data you collected on Likert scale, you convert it to the mean values, or you take it to the total, or you take it to the index forms. It depends upon what is your objective or on what specific variable you have calculated. If I give you one simple example, a quick example, in terms of the mental health, there is one defined scale which is GAD-7. GAD-7 is generalized anxiety disorder. It measures the anxiety with. Hello?
Yes, ma'am. I got another question.
Okay, just a minute. I'll just finish in a minute. So it calls GAD, it measures the anxiety of a particular person with respect to an event. It has 7 questions, or we say 7 items. So the final score is taken as the summation of those 7 items, the total of the 7 items, like I'm one respondent, whatever number I have given in each of the 7 statements, it is collated together to form one column of the total anxiety. One, you can take total anxiety, which I would not advise, because if some variable has 7 items, the total would be more. If some variable is measured on a 5 scale, then it has a lesser value. So it is better to take the average, or to get the Z scores, which is the normalized values, or you can calculate with the help of confirmatory factor analysis. Those scores can further be used for regression analysis, path analysis, anywhere.
Ma'am, I have a small question. Sorry, ma'am, I'm not able to write it down here. Ma'am, can I ask it like that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, please.
Thank you, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is, like, I'm already doing my research work, right, ma'am? And there's a big difficulty, which you already solved, that how to take the number of samples. How to take the sample size. Second is how to choose the level of significance. That is, it is 5% or 9%.
Level of significance, it is always advisable to look back in your literature, because quantitative analysis always relies upon the literature. You look in your literature, collate the studies which have taken with respect to your topic, what are the methodologies they have followed, and what is a generally accepted level of significance. See, usually in the social sciences, the level of significance which we take is usually 5%, or 10%, even in some studies I have seen that. But if I talk about the scientific studies, the studies which have sciences involved, exact laboratory experiments involved, in that case, the level of significance is only 1%, fine, or even less than 1%. So it is advisable to look for your literature, that what is the level of significance they have taken, since it's a HR study, it would be better that if you take a 5%, it will justify your results.
So it will not be a question during my Viva that why
No,
you have
no,
taken
no,
this
never,
5%.
never. This is not
Okay,
a question
okay,
for Viva. There are other things. This is
okay,
not an important one.
okay. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
One more question, ma'am. Difference
Yes.
between primary and secondary qualitative research.
See, primary and secondary qualitative research. Primary qualitative is you are conducting an interview, you are conducting a discussion group, you have a specific question or you have some agenda, you're noting down what your respondent is speaking, and on the basis of that, you are decoding and putting your findings. Now, if you talk about secondary we use a literature review. We have the literature review available. So on the basis of the literature review, I have finalized the few research gaps. I finalized the few key findings from a specific literature review. So that is the qualitative analysis.
Hello, hello. Could I speak? Hello,
Hello.
hello. I have a
Yes,
question.
ma'am, please speak.
हाँ जी, मैं Parul, I have been listening to you since many of the time, and you always talk on the research very nicely. One question, 3 times I have attended. So I want to ask one thing. I am a marketing faculty, and me and my students, we are regularly doing research. It is being done very nicely. We make questionnaire, we collect the data, whether it is related to youth awareness towards cyber security or consumer behavior towards service quality of the bank, and all the CRM and all those. We always make the analysis that is percentile based because we do not know which tool to apply. Mean
Okay.
ठीक है, आगे it becomes difficult. Which one to apply so that we get the result. Otherwise, we apply the mean and we come to the conclusion that this is what is the opinion, this is what is the C. So
Yes.
can you guide me in this? Because we make use of Likert scale always,
See,
maximum.
that is
Dichotomous
my
and
only
Likert.
thing. See, in my presentation, if you have seen it very correctly, if you have seen it, so that is why I have put the statistical test selection slide in it, actually. Fine. This is only because of that reason, because we do not know which data to apply on which. So you
Yeah.
please think you are going for a Likert data. It's an interval data. So I have given you the method which are applicable for the Likert data. Now, if you have a data which is Likert, then find out what is the sample. You have one sample which has multiple measurements.
Correct.
Fine. Then
Correct.
what is the purpose? Are you finalizing the relationship or are you looking for the comparisons? If you go for the comparisons, then they have this data. If you're looking for the relationships, then go for the higher quarters data. And usually when we go for the relationship analyzing, there's social sciences that you go for factors impacting the mental health, factors impacting the satisfaction with respect to the MOOCs. So what you are doing, if you are giving me a descriptive analysis in this, it will not be of much use to me. I cannot apply it. If you will give me a more structured analysis, like this is the factor which significantly impacts that. So I'm looking for a relationship. So I'll go for path analysis. I'll go for regression. Regression or path is one and the same thing. Then it goes further. If you are independent variable or dependent variable, what are these kind? If a dependent variable is yes or no means autonomous. Then go for logistic regression. And if it is a normal scale variable, go for your multiple regression. If you have mediating variable, go for structure equation modeling. You have moderating variable, go for structure equation modeling. See, you read my slide very carefully when I explained you that select the data, select the sample, and then go for the purpose. You will be able to shortlist one method. And that in one method, look for the subdivisions. Like regression has many methods. Logistic, ordinal regression, log linear regression, logit regression. Many regressions are there. So first finalize the family of the test and then go for subdivision.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. If the organizer could share your PPTs with us, that we will be highly thankful.
I'm sharing
Definitely,
possible.
ma'am.
It is
Thank you.
YouTube,
Thank
I
you so much.
suppose.
Thank you,
So you
Parul.
can, take from the YouTube.
Thank you so much.
There is one request from my side. Actually, I have shared one feedback, which is from my personal wing. So if possible, please kindly give me your feedback, a genuine feedback to improve. I'll share a link on the chat.
Definitely, it is always. I had attended your Agresen also and IP University also, and it is always good. And I always tell that Parul ma'am, the best in research when she speaks.
Thank you so much. It really means a lot.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Uh, Thank you, ma'am. We are coming to the end of the session. Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your valuable knowledge, which was beneficiary for scholars and faculty members in promoting research and finding.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for inviting.
Thank you, ma'am. The formal vote of thanks. There are special moments and occasions in the life of every community that bring people together. Today is one such day. I thank Dr. Parul Kumar. Really, your presentation is comprehensive, recent innovation, and knowledge to the content. Thank you, ma'am. It is fully focused to promote learning environment with a critical thinking, creativity in the language of data analysis. I thank you, ma'am. I thank the participants for your valuable presence, and I hope you will get a significant relation in quantitative analysis. Thank you all. I thank Dr. Sheila Christopher, Dean of Research and Publication, for planning and conducting this 6-day FDP in multidisciplinary perspective. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am, for the opportunity given to me as a moderator of this session. Thank you, ma'am. Participants, kindly stay connected for the next session. I hand over the session to Dr. Rosalind Vimala, Department of Chemistry, Holy Cross College. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dr. Rita. Thank you, Parul. That was a very enlightening session. Dr. Rita, thank you so much for coordinating and moderating this very informative session. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I now hand over the session. Yes, Parul, we look forward to cooperating and collaborating with you for further research.
Sure. Thank you so much. Okay.
Thank you. God bless you. We now move on to our next session without wasting much time. I hand over this session to Dr. Rosalind Vimala, Department of Chemistry. And we have a very eminent speaker here, Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh from Aragappa University. So over to Rosalind for the next session. Welcome, sir. We extend a cordial welcome to you.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yes, Rosalind, you can take over.
Okay. Welcome, everyone, for the second session of this FDP Stride Series 3 on capacity building of young talent in transdisciplinary research for a sustainable development of society. Before we start, we have few housekeeping instructions for the participants. Dear participants, kindly mute your audio and video. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the chat box and I'll bring them up at the end of the session. Now, without further ado, I welcome Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh, Professor in Bioinformatics, Alagappa University, Karakkudi, Tamil Nadu, for the second session of today's webinar on the topic Research Environment during the Post-COVID Era. Sir, with 18 years of rich experience in academics, has been the Junior and Senior Research Fellow in the Department of Chemistry, IET, CSGEM, University of Kanpur, Scientist 2 in Pharmacoinformatics Division at NIPR, Mohali, Lecturer, CO in Bioinformatics, School of Biotechnology, Madai Kamaraj University, and now he is elated to the level of Professor in Bioinformatics in Alagappa University, Karakkudi, Tamil Nadu. His areas of expertise are computational drug design in structural bioinformatics approaches of various therapeutic targets like HIV-1 protease, integrase, reverse transcriptase, human papillomavirus, Zika, dengue, chikungunya, cyclin-dependent kinases, and histone acetyl transferase. SAR has published nearly 115 articles at the international level and 15 book chapters. He has completed 5 research projects funded by DBT, DST, UGC, CSIR, New Delhi, and AURF UGC with NIBI, one ongoing project supported by DBT and has applied for 7 projects which are under review process. Sir has produced nearly 4 PhDs, 1 postdoc, 7 MPhil, 34 PGs, and 7 are pursuing PhD under his editorial board, advisory board, and awards won by him, such as BRSI Fellow Award, ICMR Lala Ramchand Kandari Award, senior to countries like USA, Germany, Switzerland. He has been in various capacities at academic and administrative level, as well as conferences with leading roles. This holistic approach to course material to won many prestigious awards, which has brought laurels for the alma mater by resonating his guru, who is no other than our speaker. We are very happy indeed to have such an erudite person for this session. I, on behalf of the management, Center for Research and Publication, and on my own personal behalf, extend to you a very warm and cordial welcome, sir. I also welcome the participants for this session. Move to online is becoming the mantra of academic institutions, giving professors clear guidance on what to do with their class during COVID-19, if not quite how to do it. But the directions on what to do with scientific research and equipment-heavy lab work have been much less clear, as there are no good precedents to follow. Because social distancing requirements are nearly impossible to meet for many research areas, including most of the as well as much enlighten us on the challenges and opportunities bestowed on the researchers. I request you, sir, to take over this virtual podium to give insights to the context of the session. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you very much for your very nice and fantastic introduction. I'm very happy to be associated with the Holy Cross College from so many years. And on this junction, again, I would like to recall, because the person who introduced me with the Holy Cross College is Dr. Daisy, who is not with us nowadays, and I think entire college is remembering her. And we are a very good collaborator in the area of bioinformatics, and we have done really a very good work in association with Dr. Daisy. So as we are aware that nowadays this is not the normal tenure, this is not a normal time. Everybody is struggling with in some way with the COVID-19 or the coronavirus, and everybody, those who are here along with my lectures, and apart from this, entire world is struggling, and either it is one sector of education, or it is a sector of research or industry, or whatever. Everybody is having some kind of impact. So when the college people or strike coordinator approached me on what topic you wanted to give the presentation, then I told them that like impact of the COVID-19 and the coronavirus on the current education system and current research is very, very appropriate one. Then normally my area of research is bioinformatics and drug discovery. Our group also works on the small molecule drug design, and now we are also working on the COVID-19 also. And we have published a couple of papers on this area. So I think my another 1 hour will be on the impact of the COVID. So before I will proceed for my presentation, I would like to know that whether my presentation is visible to all.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
My presentation is visible?
It's visible, sir, but I think it has to be in the slide presentation mode.
Yeah, okay, fine. So, impact of COVID-19 on the education research. So, before going into the detail about what is COVID-19 and how it affects the normal life and how it impacts a different environment in the country, not only in the country but entire world. So my initial presentation will be on about the topic and the impact of COVID-19 and the government initiatives like our Prime Minister and the state government and the central government. Everybody, our priority is not to how to fight with this problem. So they have taken several initiatives to solve this problem in all the sectors. So that also I will cover. And finally, the remedies and safety measurements. So about the topic, first we should know that what is actually the coronavirus. COVID-19 is the infectious disease caused by the recently found virus known as SARS-CoV-2 or coronavirus. Before the outbreak originated in Wuhan, China, and on December 2019, there was no information about this virus. We have a COVID-2 from other families, and but this kind of severity in the infection for the human, we came to know the first time. So entire world is not ready that we are about to meet a kind of infection which is a highly communicable. And nowadays, if you see that entire world is struggling to find out the effective drug for the COVID-19, or you can say the effective vaccine for the COVID-19, but still we are not able to come up with any kind of useful vaccine or drug. So still everything is uncertain. So when the more uncertainty is there, then our responsibility and our attentions towards the particular target or towards particular disease is very, very high. And even this, the WHO also told that we cannot say that loudly enough and clearly enough or often enough. All countries can still change the course of this pandemic. See, what I mean to say here that this COVID-19 affects all the entire world. Spain handles in a different way, US handles in a different way, Italy handles in a different way, China in a different way, and India is handling in a very, very different way. Okay, like in the first initial 2 months of complete lockdown, which reduce the spread, which makes some kind of a stoppage in the infection procedure. But whether this is the real solution, because initially US has not taken the lockdown decision and still the loss of casualty is there. But lockdown is not only the solution for this to stop this infection. Whenever the lockdown will be over, whatever the infected people are there, they will interact with the others, and definitely it will grow up to some extent. So what I mean to say here that each and every country is having different mode of like understanding this problem, and their remedy and solution also in a different way. So identifying the information, it's an infectious disease caused by the recently found coronavirus. Coronavirus disease having the impact on the global economy and society. There are recommendations to follow the order to prevent the spread. These are the a few symptoms which, like everybody should know, that common symptoms are the fever, dry cough, and bad breathing, and the eventual symptoms are pneumonia, kidney failure, and the gastro disorders. This is the statistics for the pandemic. Let's refresh our memory. This is also now the 1,31,00,000 patients, 5,72,000 approximately deaths, and 76 lakh people are recovered from the COVID-19. So these are the general views. Positive view is that now this COVID-19 is bringing the very strong evolution in the healthcare, and we are now coming up with the new and better habits and the reduction of the inequality. And the negative approaches are that harsher surveillance, division between the countries, worldwide economic problem. Impact of COVID-19. These are the impact of COVID-19 on the various sectors like higher education, for which I'm going to talk more. Entire schools, right from the primary education, secondary education, higher education in India as well as abroad is highly affected with this kind of thing. The stock market, tourism, technical industry and automobiles, smart manufacturing, and global expenses. So higher education, you can see the strategies of the COVID-19 on the global education. You can see this is the February and the March data. Even the current data is still available. So can you see that 1.5 billion or 1.38 billion people are affected because entire schools, entire colleges, universities are closed. Students are not allowed to enter in the school because of the severity of the infection of this COVID-19. Effect on outbound students. Initially, our dream is to go when we pass class 12. Our dream is to go and opt for the strong university or good university which is having the highest QS rank or highest grading. But what is happening now? People are uh, hesitating in opting for the foreign university. So this is a green color shows that some impact on the outbound student mobility, and this red shows that no impact on outbound student mobility, and for this orange shows that it's not sure. Okay, and on this side effect on outbound faculty mobility, because mostly faculty also move from one place to another. So some impact on outbound staff mobility, and no impact. The orange shows no impact, and 20% is not sure. Effect of COVID-19 on the study abroad student. Okay, so this is a very, very important data which you understand that the student unaffected is 61%. So you can say that around 40% of the people are affected with this COVID-19. And here, pursue 37% people decided to pursue whatever the planning they have for the higher education, they have postponed it for 1 year. So you can imagine that like the entire 1 year is going to be waste. And 11% people have decided don't want to study abroad because the more they travel, the chances of the infection, even when they go abroad, they do not have proper facility because at the native place and in their own country, they have more options to for getting the proper help on proper time. And 33% people are telling that study in a different country, I mean they're opting for that. So impact of COVID-19 pandemic on the research institution and researchers. So you can see that this is the institutional responsibility and the challenges. So what kind of institutional responsibility the any institutions are having? They are having that to continue with the ongoing clinical research of worldwide health and safety, and also to follow the social distancing and providing the education and the training, and also to concentrate on the non-COVID-19 research and animal research and the care, because sometimes the hardcore input, wherever the sectors which requires the hardcore input, it needs time and manpower and the money. But during this pandemic period, it's really very, very difficult to maintain each and every sector of the university or any higher institution at the proper scale. So COVID-19 poses a new institutional responsibility and challenge, including the need to ensure the continuity of ongoing clinical research increase. COVID-19 related research ensures safety of employees and students, enforce social distancing measures, ensure continuing the education of undergraduates and graduate students, restrict non-essential, non-COVID-19 research activities, and maintain required animal care resources. Investigators have employed multiple approaches to cope up with on-site lab restrictions and shutdown. Researchers have maintained a critical research activity, continued to submit publications, balanced work and family responsibility, initiated or collaborated on COVID-19 related research, ensured limited on-site lab staffing, engaged in remote research opportunities, maintained regular and frequent communication with the trainees and co-workers, and also continued to plan and write the research grant. So what I mean to say here that during this pandemic, the researchers, the academicians, their responsibility are not reduced. Even their family responsibilities are enhanced, but parallelly, the academic responsibility is not reduced. We have to continue with the online classes. The research should continue. The more concentration should be given on the COVID research or COVID-19 research, because as a serious researcher, this is the responsibility of the faculty or the scientists to come up with some kind of a solution or some kind of contribution for the COVID-19 pandemic. Right. So this is the one survey from the EMBL. It studies effect of COVID-19 pandemic on life sciences. 70%, 77% of the life science institutions are shut down in the world. 57% lost up to 6 months of work. 66% used extra time for the career development. 30% attended a virtual conferences. 26% feared additional cost due to lost work, and 18% take part in COVID-19 related research. So this is the survey they have done in the UK, Italy, France, Canada, Turkey, and USA, and they come up with this data. And this data, if you see very seriously, the first one, 77% of the life science institutions are shut down. When the life science students are shut down, scholars are not coming, faculties are not going to the proper lab, proper research activities is closed. Can you imagine how much we are going to face a loss in the future? Because 1 year of the research, we are going behind in some kind of research in the entire world. So this is the COVID-19 effect on the education. I have mentioned the state-wise here. How much the education is affected, especially the Bihar, Chhattisgarh, Delhi, and Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Jharkhand, and Punjab. These places are highly affected. Even in Maharashtra also, these places are highly affected because the COVID-19 spread is very, very high in these regions. Okay. Effect of education suppliers in India. So whenever any institutions are working, there are a number of people are there, those who are attached with the institutions, like the person who supplies the furniture to the colleges, uniform, books, and other infrastructure. So everybody is like suffering a lot. STEM, furniture, education tools, education publishers, sports education, and others, a number of things. So highest one is this, like e-learning companies. The stock market is like going down like anything, not only in India, but in the entire world, the stock market is going down. Tourism, coronavirus have a lasting impact on the international travel. You can see this is the red one is shows the reduce. Of course, in this pandemic, nobody wish to travel or go for any international travel. Those who are having some essential requirement only, they are traveling from one country to the another. But so this sector is also highly affected with this COVID-19, especially the hotels and the sports. This is another data of which is like we have to understand that internet business, 4 lakh pre-COVID employees, 70 million pre-COVID employees in the real estate, and in travel and tourism, 55 million pre-COVID employees, and 38 million in the next few months they are losing their jobs, and it is going to be more worse, right? In the area of the real estate, like 14 million are losing the job, and on the other hand, 80,000 to 1 lakh people are losing their job because the company do not have proper funds to support their employee, because their marketing is stopped, their business is stopped. So of course, these companies cannot able to hold the more employee, right? Technical industry, impact of COVID-19 on a technical industry. Smart watches, they reduced by 160%, smartphones by 108%, smart speakers minus 121%, and the computers minus 123%, and consoles minus 101%, and the TV sets minus 45%. This is reduced by this. Automobiles also predicted one that this red one is that green one shows, green one is the like pre-COVID-19, and the this red dashed line is shows the post-COVID-19, right? So you can see and understand that how much the million US dollar loss will be there for each and every kind of companies. Smart manufacturing, is also it's COVID-19 impact on smart manufacturing, pre versus post-COVID. You can understand that we are expecting pre-COVID. This is the pre-COVID data we're expecting, but because of the COVID, post-COVID, you see, like this is our business. It's like great loss for this manufacturing market. Global expenses are due to the coronavirus, 91 million euro amount of money committed by the UK to combat coronavirus. 23.3 million was used by the sanitary supplies from China, and 8.3 billion dollar USA emergency coronavirus spending bills. So can you imagine, like, if the countries like US, Spain, Italy, and other developed countries, if they are investing this much of money to fight against the COVID-19, definitely this money would have been utilized for any other kind of business or growth of any country. So this is the additional facts about the COVID-19 is that telecommunication has become the norm of most of the companies. Most distilleries are using alcohol for making the hand sanitizers. Some clothing companies have switched to manufacturing the face mask in order to easy local or national face mask shortage. Many markets are being able to sell all the fish because of main customers. Restaurants don't need them as they are closed. Hotel owners are offering their rooms to hospital as additional rooms for infected people of COVID-19 because the hospitals, our existing hospitals, are not at all sufficient to accommodate the COVID-19 patients. So of course we have to go for the hotels. Streaming platforms have decided to slightly decrease their video quality in response to the increased demand due to the home isolation to ensure that the videos can play properly. This is the countries with the highest recession because caused by the COVID-19, that is China, USA, Iran, Italy, and Spain. And more than half who lost their job or income say the coronavirus crisis is harming their mental health. Like 54% of those who have lost the job or the income, and 40% of those who have not lost a job or income. So the percentage those who lost the job was very, very high. Okay, and they are really struggling with a big mental trauma. One mental trauma is because which the COVID-19 is giving for the infection, and the second is that they are jobless. They do not have a salary. They are struggling a lot to meet out their daily expenses. So this is like a two-dimensional mental stress for the people. Changes in ourselves, social life through tech, where video calling and like we can use this video calling, texting, and online games in person, one-to-one, small gathering, and keep distancing. This we need to forget this thing. Life and values, family will now. This is like a topic we should understand that how the family will now be able to spend more time together, like after long gap, because now the timing earlier days, like everybody was so busy, they are fully occupied in their business, their work, and so on, and they wanted to have good time with the family and the relatives, but they are not able to manage their time. So this pandemic has given their some time because of pressure, because of the fear of the infection. They got some time to be the family. More creativity and the freedom translated into innovation and slow life, of course. With the new routine comes a more relaxed way of living. Creativity, more time to play means an increase in creativity. Everyday habits we should follow that there will be more hand sanitizer available in the public spaces. More companies will allow employees to work remotely. People will take their personal space more seriously, and we may also have a better understanding of the public health ethics. The school and universities will be more prepared for the distance learning. Because another few months, I think we are fully dependent upon the online education, online lectures, and the webinars. And what are the government initiatives, which is very, very important to understand that really what are the things available from the government side and what we can do or what we can learn, and what the government has taken the initiative to come up with this problem in the area of the education and the research is that they have taken the loss of the digital initiative by the MSRD for the schools Like they have the e-Pathshala, we have all the contents available for that. There's a Shodh Ganga, means you can get the content for the thesis. These are available. You can download the thesis. You have to just get the login and password for that, and you can understand like more knowledge about a like what kind of research work is going in India, and like in so and so university what they have done in their previous research. Swayam Prabha, the free DTH channels for the education, like you can open the channel and you can teach your childrens, you can get access for those. National Digital Library in India, like you can get all the books and the journals from this, and a consortium for the educational communication, and Inter-University Center for University Grant Commission on electronic media, like you can connect from one university to the other university and have the better interaction with the faculty, those who are or in a better expertise in different areas. If you find there's some other faculty in the different universities having expertise on this particular area, you can very much connect with this. Swayam platform is like free online education for everyone, and MOOC courses, like you can take a courses, choose the courses from the MOOC, and you can attend the lectures for the MOOC, and you can finally give the exam, and you can be certified that yes, so and so has cleared this MOOC courses, and that will be additional credit for your education. And there is another very important one is the Vidwan, which is having the database of all the faculty entire country, in which area they are working, what kind of research they are doing, what is their credentials, whether the particular person is having any kind of a collaborative interaction can be done with those people or not. So all this information you can get from this Vidwan database. Technology-driven education with the equity post-COVID. PM e-Vidya, a program of a multi-mode access to a digital online education to be launched immediately, consisting of the Diksha. Diksha is like giving the knowledge, like giving the education for school education in the state and union territories. E-content and the QR coded energized textbook for all grades. One nation, one digital platform was this, like the motto of this education. One e-marked TV channel per class from 1 to 12. Like you can just log in on the channel and the students can learn information from that, and that is based on the NCERT syllabus. Extensive use of the radio, community radio and podcast, especially content for visually and hearing impaired. Top 100 universities will be permitted to automatically start on online courses by 30th May 2020. So these universities have chosen to initiate the online courses, and these online courses are open to everyone. Anyone can opt these courses from all over the world, and they can go ahead with the education. And we have a proper evaluation system, a proper examination system, and based on that you will be qualified for the particular course. Teachers utilized Nishtha to enhance the learning outcome of the student, enable an inclusive classroom environment. Nishtha is like some kind of dedication towards somebody. So this also has been launched by the Human Resource Development, Government of India. They have also launched e-Pathshala, which is like very effective for the NCERT or the Kendriya Vidyalaya or the Navodaya Vidyalaya students. Even other students also can use this e-Pathshala platform. I got e-learning platform is an integrated government online training, is also one of the important one. Swayam, this is all about Swayam. You can choose the courses and you can identify the courses. And suppose if you are not able to understand like what kind of courses is useful for you, there is a helplines are there. You can just talk to them. You can send an email. You will be responded very properly, and you will get proper guidance from the coordinator of the SWAYAM, national coordinator of the university coordinator. Apart from that, this is as I told already, like SWAYAM Prabhat UTA channels are there. You can open the channels and get lots of information. It is already well-established platform. It's not because of the COVID, but before the COVID itself, it was very much available for everyone. This is another initiative by NROER, which gives about the bringing together all digital resources across all stages of the schools and teacher education at one platform, and like which is a YouTube, telephonic, and a DTH, and by through your mobile, everything is at one platform. So you need not to be struggle to go at a different platform. This is a Samagri Shiksha, means like education, education for all, holistic education for the holistic development. This is also very, very effective, I think. This is also another initiative by the MHRD, Government of India. And as I told already about the Vidwan database, about two joints. And here you will get the, from either it is a CSIR lab, or it is ICMR lab, or Indian Council of Agricultural Research, or universities. Everybody is involved. All Indian faculty, those who are working in the area of science and technology or research and development, their profile is available on this database, and you can very much have a use of this database. Online learning done via the interactive app of live online classes and the collagen research, and this is now in the current scenario, like we have to depend upon this kind of online platform only, because another few months, and we hope that the things will be all right very soon. But till there is this things are uncertain, without wasting our further time, we and our kids should have the proper utilization of each and every day, and every day should be progressive for everyone. Okay, so options are available. Only thing is that we have to be come up with a solution. We have to come up with some positive positive approach, and go through the online platform, find out the things what is required for me, what are the things are available. Because sometimes like all these things are available at one platform, as I told you that one website is there. So this is very, very useful. And now the last one is the remedies and the safety measurements that protect yourself and others. Follow these do and don'ts. Regularly you are getting this information from either from radio, either from mobile ringtone, or from TV. Everywhere the first message is that they are teaching you what to do, what not to do. So my request to each and everyone that we should follow all these instructions, and we can help each other how to teach the people, and how we can support each other or our government in the programs which they are running for the COVID-19, or to stop the spread of the COVID-19. So this is all data taken from this Google, and once again, thank you very much for this stride coordinator of the Holy Cross College and other authorities for inviting me and giving me this opportunity for the interaction. Thank you very much. It's open for the questions. If anybody is having any questions, please let me know.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for giving your vivid presentation on the impact of COVID in various sectors of society, and how the academic community has much work to do to improve disaster resiliency and quickly develop their own plans for ramping down research as well as education, supplemented by ad hoc communications using digital tools. As of now, we have not received any questions. So dear participants, if you have any queries, please post your questions in the chat box. Dear participants, if you have any queries, kindly post in the chat box. So there is one question. Sir?
Hello. Yes, please tell.
The question is raised by Dr. Sheila Christopher. How far is online data collection valid?
Yeah, this is actually the very good question. See, sometimes, see, once I will give you the two suggestions. One thing is that once if you are talking about the data collection for the research, you need not to go for the Google and the online survey. You have to go for the NCBI, like where you will get the research publication, and from the, because the research publication is already reviewed by the reviewers. So whatever the publication comes through the NCBI or in the PubMed, definitely you can download those papers, and this data is a reliable one, right? And suppose if you are talking about in general data from the Google or from the TV, sometimes whatever we get it from the television also, it's not the appropriate data. So from the Google, you have to be very careful and you have to cross check what kind of information you are getting from the Google. But for the research, you have to get the data from the PubMed or NCBI, not from the open Google.
Thank you, sir. The second question by Sangeeta Agarwal. The data that you mentioned is from which research paper, or is it your work?
No, Sangeeta, this is not actually my work. This is the in general information about what kind of options available over the platform. Like MHRD has having a number of initiatives for the school children for higher education. So I have collected all the information from different sources, from MHRD websites and also from the Google. And this information I have shown here, you can very much utilize those information.
Thank you, sir. The next question from Mohana Priya. Can you suggest a website other than Shodhganga for collecting the thesis of various universities?
No, Mohana. As on date from the UGC and MHRD, we have a Shodhganga only to get the thesis, or otherwise the one-to-one. Suppose from this Vidwan database, you are searching by your keyword, by your title, and suppose if any of the work in any university you like that work, you can directly approach their faculty and their scholar, especially faculty. And you can ask them not about a thesis, but you can ask about their paper, their old previous publications, and it is very much available. Okay, so normally people are hesitating in providing their thesis, but they are very happy to share the publications. I think your purpose will be solved with the publication.
Thank you, sir. And another question: are there any ethical guidelines for research during COVID times?
Yes, of course. Not only during the ethical guidelines during the COVID, but apart from the pre-COVID era, also we have the very serious ethical guidelines that this plagiarism should not be there. And suppose if you are handling any animal models, the ethical clearance is required. And of course, your data should not be the copy paste. You should have your own unique work. And a number of ethical guidelines are there, right? And for each and every small thesis, we are certifying that this thesis or this paper is not submitted anywhere else for any award of any degree or diploma, something like that. So we should follow the ethical guideline, and it should not be copied first from other sources.
So the next question by Shanju Vigasini. Sir, can you please suggest any online databases that are free?
Sanju, for which database you are asking? On which sector? Your question is not clear. See, database for the drug is different. Database for the protein is different. Database for like online courses, it's available on the MHRD website. A Swayam platform is there. ePathshala is there. MOOC courses are there. On MOOC courses platform, you can understand what are the courses available in the university and at MHRD. So you have to specify which database you want.
So like actually I'm pursuing my doctoral research. So it's on special education and psychology. So I was just looking for online databases related to special education and psychology basically.
Okay, for that purpose, definitely those, suppose if anybody has developed this kind of database, then first you can search in the Google and then you can find out from where it is developed, and then you can request like on what is the web link of that database, and we can very much assess that.
Mm-hmm. Okay, sir. Okay. Right. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. The next question from Virendra Kumar. Sir, suggest some databases related to COVID-19 research.
Oh, fantastic, Virendra. Like for the COVID-19, it's like very surprising data is there. See, from last 4 months, we have around 33,000 publications. it is like remarkable data. 33,000 publication in last 4 months. So, if you talk about like these papers, all the papers are available on this PubMed and NCBI. You can approach the faculty to get this knowledge. If you're talking about the database regarding the small molecule, that is also available. Okay, but only thing is that you have to go to that. It's available. It's really available.
Thank you, sir. The next question by Sangeeta Agarwal. Can you suggest good plagiarism check software?
Yes, on the UGC website also, one software is there. You can go through the UGC website. And otherwise, nowadays every institution is having this software to go for the plagiarism check. It's not very big thing. Better follow the UGC website.
Thank you, sir. The next question by Priya. Research in science requires lab presence. What could be the post-COVID situation for scientific research which couldn't be done entirely through online mode, sir?
Yeah, it's a very uncertain question. See, in a real manner, if you can understand that research, everything in the research cannot be done online. Like teaching can be done online, webinar lectures can be given online, but wherever the hardcore research is required, we need to go to the lab. So, like we cannot do the good research in this COVID era, but we can write review, we can write book chapters, we can write our manuscript. But definitely in the future, in the post-COVID era, what will happen, like people will divert a little bit from their hardcore research to some kind of a data analysis, some kind of a tool development, or some kind of a predictions, like in bioinformatics, if you know that this is very important. But some kind of a clinical data analysis also can be done. But in the real biotechnology or in a clinical research, you have to go to the lab. This is one of the basic challenge for when we are developing the vaccine for the COVID-19. This challenge is with us that clinical trial requires up to 7 to 8 years. A vaccine clinical trial also requires sufficient time. But nowadays, in a 3-month time, in a 2-month time, we are trying to come up with a vaccine or very kind of like very effective vaccine. But a time period whatever given is just 2 months. 2 months is not sufficient. Sometimes the long-term side effects is coming in 5 years, 3 years, 4 years. So a high risk also coming along with this kind of a speed up research. So either you can switch over your area of research towards the prediction, or towards which requires like lots of online tool, or you have to wait that everything should be all right. Then you can continue with your previous research which you have continued.
Thank you so much, sir. I think we have covered all the questions raised by the participants, and there are very appreciations from the participants' side that your session has been more informative. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for patiently answering for all the questions. Shall we go to the concluding session, ma'am? Sheila, ma'am?
Yes, Rosalind, please go ahead.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. To conclude, as a mark of undying tradition, I first thank the Lord Almighty for making today's session a resounding success. At the outset, I thank Dr. Sanjeev Kumar Singh for being kind enough to accept our invitation and orient us on the topic research environment during the post-COVID era. Your proactive thinking, highlighting the importance of academicians, shows your flagship of knowledge and experience that helps us to understand our roles, identify the resource, and improve personal attributes. Thank you, sir, for such an impressive talk. I also feel immense pleased and express my gratitude to Reverend Dr. Sister Niranjana Andonasamy, a person of distinct vision, Our principal, Reverend Dr. Sister Christina Bridget, a fountainhead of illuminating ideas, dedicated band of vice principals, deans, heads of various departments, both teaching and non-teaching staff, the technical committee, who have extended their prayers and support in visualizing the realities and concretizing the dreams of the Center for Research and Publication team to come true. Thank you all. I wish to thank all the participants from other academic bodies for their active participation. 100 times every day, I remind myself that my inner and outer life depend on the labors of other men, living and dead, and that I must exert myself in order to give in the same measure as I have received and am still receiving, says Albert Einstein. To give in the same measure as I have received is a prime challenging objective of any academician in the cause of a sustainable development. Everything from academic timetables to hiring to reagent availability and equipment manufacturing to funding agencies have been thrown for a loop. So there is no way in which we can emerge unscathed or even minimally affected in the near term. But perhaps we can come out different with new realizations, with belief that crisis can bring out the best in people. So, with our own way of coping with the anxiety of how much this pandemic is going to set our research back is to look for signs of maturity, magnanimity, and focus among ourselves through collaborative activities. With this in our mind, let me once again reiterate that without you all, we will never have the courage to dream and the passion to make it happen. So thank you, everyone. We appreciate you being here. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Rosalind. Thank you for those words of appreciation.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us and giving us a very realistic picture, a perspective about research during the pandemic times. Thanks for your involvement. Thanks for your time and your effort. God bless you.
Thank you very much.
Participants, kindly note, tomorrow is yet another invigorating session. We have two international resource persons, Dr. Nirmala Ryan from the Genome Institute, Singapore, and we also have Dr. Richard from the United Kingdom. So hope you have a very blessed evening and come back refreshed for tomorrow's session. Thank you and God bless all of you.